What is up, guys, and welcome back to Electrix Moto. Today what we have is the Ventus One Plus Max. This is a beast of a Ventus One Plus build. So today what I'm gonna do is talk through all the parts and pieces that we had to use to bring this build to life, tell you what we plan to use it for, and then in the next video, we're gonna take you out to the Electrix compound and we're gonna show you exactly what this thing can do. All right, as promised, first things first, let's talk about the parts that we had to make this thing work. So what we did with the Ventus One Plus is we took it on a trail ride, we rode it at the Electrix compound, we jumped it, we hopped logs on it, and we kind of just went through it. On our latest video, I'll put that in one of the corners, it is the trail ride video. We took this thing out on a 10-mile trail ride, we took it with the SR, we just bombed through some trails, and the bike is just such a well-performing bike, and the build quality of the Ventus One Plus is the best. It's the best build quality I've seen, and you guys know that I absolutely love e-ride, but this bike steps it up a level. So we took it on the trail ride, we knew that it was good, and we were like, okay, how do we make it better? Now, some of these things you may not want to do because they're a bit pricey for what you get out of it, and we're gonna start up front with the 21-inch front. So the 21-inch front is a KKE Sur-On front wheel. So the problem with that is, unless you can find just a front somewhere, I had to buy both wheels. So I have a spare 18-inch rear that I'll probably never use, but it gives us the Sur-On Light B 21-inch front. That is a huge difference maker because in the previous video about the hard parts that we put on this bike, I had to have a 20mm riser underneath the Warp 9 bar mount. I was able to take that 20mm spacer off because the 21-inch front corrected that rake, and now it sits perfectly. So now once the front wheel's addressed, we have a 21-inch front up front. We put an Dunlop MX34 on it, which is hands down our favorite motocross style tire. If you're looking for a more trail-centric tire or something that's geared towards hard trail riding, I would go with the IRC VE35. It's what we have on most of our other bikes that have a 21-inch front. Both of our Ultra Bs have that, but we got a 21. In order to make that 21 fit, we had to install the Floxa drop crown. So our Floxa drop crown brings those forks down just a little bit, giving you more room to have that full compression of your suspension up front so you're not smashing your front tire off your fender. Now, that comes with all the boost spacers and all the spacers that you will need to fit this 21-inch front on the bike. So you don't need to add anything else, you don't need to buy anything else. I'm gonna put all the links to these products in the description, so if you want to build your Ventus One Plus to this max level, you have the opportunity to do that. We went with the gold triple clamps just because I think it's the best color that they have, and it really fits well with the different contrasting colors of the bike. Now, all of that is what was done in the front to make it work well for us. Other than the sticky grips, we don't really have much else going on that you probably haven't already been informed about on a previous video, but we have started using these Renthal fat sticky grips. I'll put those in the description as well, depending upon the grip that you like. I always used their untacky version, and now I'm using the ultra tacky, and it really is like tacky, especially when you have gloves on. It feels better for me, maybe something that you want to do, but that is something different. I said I was going to keep the grips previously on one of our earlier videos. That turned out to be false, so we went with the ultra tacky grips, and it's made a world of a difference, just more comfortable. Even though those silicone grips that come on this bike are good, these ones are better in my personal opinion. So moving backwards in the bike, something that we did that I said I didn't know if I would do, but I ended up making the decision to go for it, is I put the Sur-On Light B drop brackets on this bike from Warp 9. They give us the ability to raise and lower our pegs up to 1 inch. So right now we have our pegs set at the middle setting. It's a little bit lower than what comes factory, but not all the way down. The problem I had while riding this bike in the woods, actually turned out not to be a problem, but if I could fix it, I decided that I wanted to do that. And you don't have any contact with the bike through your knees. And for us, you know, especially a big power bike, if you really get on that throttle, if your body position is not right and you don't have anywhere to grip with your knees, you're flying off the back of this thing, or it's gonna jump the front wheel on you, you loop it out, whatever it is. So we wanted to drop these down a little bit so we had a little bit more contact with this seat with our knees while we're riding. I don't know how that's going to do in practical trail riding situations, just because now your pegs are lower to the ground, more likely to get snagged on rocks. So that is to be determined, but it's definitely a better riding feel. And you do have contact right here with your knees. That makes all the difference in the world. Another thing that we did is the foot pegs. The foot pegs that come on the bike are absolutely perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with them. The reason I opted for a different foot peg is because it's wider than the factory foot pegs that come on the bike. The factory foot pegs are a little bit more narrow, and without any feeling of the bike or being able to control the bike with your knees and really relying on body position to have like a good experience, I wanted something that gave me a bigger platform to stand on, and that's why I went with the Electrix Moto pegs. I'll put those in the description as well. They're just a wider footprint. They have a bigger base and it just has more room for your foot. On an already small bike, it's nice to have any additional points of contact that you can, especially with a bike that's this powerful. So that's what we did there. Now let's move on to the back of the bike, talk about the rear tire, what we had to do to make all this fit, because this is always a point. A lot of people ask us this question. So we'll talk about what we chose and why we chose it. So the back tire, generally we do one of two things depending upon the bike and depending upon how we plan to ride the bike. If we're gonna be riding our bike in the woods, enduro style, we put a IRC on the rear, which is what we have on our Shop SR. We have a IRC VE33, or 35, I'm sorry. It is not a soft compound, it's just a tire that we prefer in the woods. We would love to have a soft gummy on that bike because that's really how that bike gets ridden. But this is gonna be a like single track or moto track, indoor moto track style bike. We do have a complete indoor e-moto race series that is coming up starting in November. If you guys are interested or you're local to the Columbus, Ohio area, you want to race your e-moto in that race series, I will leave the link to all the race info in the description so you can head over, look at it, read about it, figure out what the race series looks like, what bikes are allowed and not, and come out and join us for a day of racing. Now, what we did on this bike is something that I haven't used in the past, simply because the compound is a little bit harder than what I prefer. We put the Dunlop MX33 on the rear of this tire. The reason we went with it 33 is because you have to make some concessions. We can't have the compound that we prefer, but the narrowness of the MX33 makes it a better tire. It's not as wide as the MX34. It's not as wide as the MX53. The knobs are a little bit smaller, which means it's probably gonna wear a little bit faster, but that's why the compound is a little bit harder. So this fits in the swing arm better. Now, it does not remove the problem of chain rub. You are going to have chain rub and you're gonna have to dish your wheel over to the left. There's plenty of videos on the internet of how to do that. You do it incrementally, little by little, and you move that wheel over left of center so you're no longer rubbing the chain and you don't have to cut knobs. If you can avoid cutting knobs, avoid cutting knobs. If you don't know how to dish, find somebody who does. It will be worth it in the long run if you just take the extra time to do that. But the MX33 is quite literally the perfect tire for this bike. It's going to be incredible to see how this bike performs on the track in the race series. And at the Electrix Moto compound, we have a full Supercross style track setup that we're gonna be testing this bike on, as well as these tires. I have not even gotten a chance to ride this bike except for around the parking lot. It's just been rainy and cold. We've been busy. We were at the GNCC races this weekend, which my son ended up taking first in the Electrix class and I took third, which was a really crazy experience. 2 hours of racing through epic terrain it'll take a toll on your body, so I'm just getting back into the flow of the week here. So if you guys have any questions about this bike, why we did the things that we did, please feel free to reach out to us. a couple of problems that we have with this bike that I do want to address because they have been remedied. The front brake caliper on the bike originally when we got it seized up really bad. And the reason for that, in my personal opinion, is I believe there's not much brake fluid that comes in these brakes from the factory. And the reason I say that is because we just put this new one on yesterday. We undid the wire to make sure that we could get everything assembled correctly, and no fluid dripped out, literally none. So I'm gonna open this thing up today. I'm gonna pump some new fluid through it. It may be something you wanna check on your bike if you think that you might have that problem or you wanna avoid having that problem. Pump some new fluid into these things. It doesn't take much at all, and it'll definitely give you a better experience and you won't have to do it. But at the end of the day, it was fixed, under warranty, no questions asked. New one sent to our shop, we put it on, we're happy. Last part is your damage that's being done on the Ventus One Plus when these bikes are being jumped or ridden aggressively. So you are gonna get some damage on the inside of your shock body from the spring. Because it's taking such a load, it's kind of twisting in on itself. I hope that's a good explanation, and it's causing damage to the new shock body. We were able to get a brand new shock underneath warranty, so we didn't have to spend any additional money to get that fixed. If that's something or a problem you're having, please let us know, or just leave a comment and tell us your experience. But I think the remedy to that would be to add a stiffer spring in the rear, because if you notice, the preload on these springs coming from the factory is wrenched down pretty tight, and I think it's just causing too much on that spring, causing it to invert on itself and damage that shock body. So that may be a way for you to prevent having any issues. I don't know for a fact because I haven't tested it, but that's my theory. If you guys have any questions about this build, any concerns, any comments, please leave them below. I get to them every morning. Let me know what you think about the Ventus One Plus Max build. Next video will be at the Electrix Moto compound, giving this thing a go and showing you what it can really do.